Mrs. White points out the hazards of extreme or inattention or laxity in providing all adequate diet for the family. Ill-prepared food, unwholesome food might hinder and even ruin both the adult's usefulness and the child's development. Food should be adapted to the needs of the body and at the same time inviting and palatable. It is possible to have a wholesome, nutritious diet without the use of tea, coffee, and fresh food. You know, you often hear people out there who will say, because you eat in your food without meat, like, I can't eat without meat, no? So it's something like that's not food for them. Without the meat, they just can't eat. And that they are programming themselves because they're telling themselves they cannot eat without meat. So the time is going to come where they would see a plate of food without meat and they will not want to eat. You can train yourself to enjoy a healthful diet. The Lord helps those who seek to help themselves. So if you are looking to change your diet fully, remember it starts with the mind. You have to make that conscious decision that I am going to eat healthy. In the use of foods, we should exercise good, sound, common sense. When we find that a certain food does not agree with us, we need not write letters of inquiry to learn the cause of the disturbance. Change diet. Use less of some foods, try other preparations. Soon we shall know the effect that certain combinations have on us. So, how do we start with this tasty food, this healthy and tasty food? First we have a spinach pasta. And this is all homemade. For this ingredient, it's going to be for two servings. You will need 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 5 ounces of spinach, or that's probably a pack, 1 pack of spinach. If we don't have the forest spinach, you know, we have what we call, I think it's bhaji, our local bhaji, yeah. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of salt plus a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and you're going to have it divided, so it's going to be in separate containers. 2 tablespoons of water. So you have your vegetables, however you would like to have it, if it's steamed or roasted, for serving with the pasta, and your pesto for serving as well. Some fresh basil, that's probably just to garnish the food. So for preparation for this pasta, this spinach pasta, so you're in a pot, you bring a large pot of water to a boil. In a large saucepan, heat the olive oil over medium heat. Once the oil begins to shimmer, add the spinach and cook for 5 minutes or until wilted. You know how we have a local saying, it's boiling like bhaji. Yeah. So when you put the bhaji, the spinach in there, it's going to look plentiful, but it's going to cook down and wilt. Add the spinach to a food processor until finely chopped. While processing the spinach, spoon the flour in a little bit at a time until a crumbly dough forms. So while the spinach is in the food processor and it's spinning, you probably take off the top and you keep adding your flour, probably 1 tablespoon or 1/4 cup at a time until you get a crumbly dough. While continuing to process, you add your salt and then add 1 tablespoon of water at a time until the dough comes together. So it's a slow process. While the processor is moving with the dough, with the flour and the water and the spinach, you add your salt and then you add your 2 tablespoons of water, 1 at a time. The amount of water necessary will vary depending on how wet the spinach is. So it all depends on the spinach, but you want to get a nice dough, a dry dough, not a wet one. Remove the dough from the food processor and knead in on a floured surface to form into a ball. With a rolling pin, roll dough out into an oval about 18 inches long by 12 inches wide and about 1/4 inch thick. With a knife or pizza cutter, cut the dough into even strips of about a half inch or 1 centimeter wide. So after you cut it, You roll the strips in your hand like thick noodles. So you're going to roll it like this until it looks like a macaroni. Once the water is boiling, you add a tablespoon of salt and then you drop your homemade pasta into that. You cook that pasta for 3 to 5 minutes or until the noodles float to the top of the water. Then you drain. Then you toss that spinach pasta with whatever vegetables. If you want to eat it like that, you could go ahead, but you could toss it with the roasted vegetables and some pesto sauce and top with some fresh beef, and you enjoy. So this is what your homemade spinach pasta would look like. So it's green, more or less green macaroni as we would call it. Next, we have a vegan eggnog. So you know Christmas time, they have a tradition of making eggnog, right? So for this, the ingredients are for 6 servings. You're going to need 1 cup of cashews, 1 can of light coconut milk. The reason why they use the canned coconut milk is the canned milk have a certain thickness to it, right? A 1/4 cup of maple syrup, a 1/4 cup of water, or you could add more as needed for desired consistency, and 3 pitted dates along with some allspice, or if you have nutmeg and cinnamon and these things, you could add it in it. Say it over. 1 cup of cashews, 1 can of light coconut milk, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, a 1/4 cup of water, 3 pitted dates, and a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. With 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence. In the original recipe, they use the vanilla bean itself. I've never seen that down here, so I substituted that with the vanilla essence. 1 teaspoon of fresh nutmeg to taste, and they use cinnamon sticks to serve. So to prepare this, you will soak the cashews in water for 30 minutes, not hot water, just normal water. Rinse and then drain in a colander or a strainer, what we have. Add cashews, coconut milk, maple syrup, water, dates, allspice, vanilla essence, and nutmeg to a blender. Then you blend all this until it's completely smooth. You refrigerate the mixture until it's ready. Refrigeration will help thicken the eggnog, and you could add more water and blend again for a thinner consistency. So if you want it thinner, you could add water, but if you like it thick, you could leave it as is. So you serve this chilled with nutmeg and a cinnamon stick or either or. And this is what a vegan eggnog looks like. Right? Simple, healthy, and tasty. Next, we have a chunky avocado and tomato salsa. Now, this is very simple. Here we have 10 cherry tomatoes or 2 to 3 normal sized tomatoes that you could cut into cubes. 1 avocado. Depending on the size of the avocado, you could probably use half. A half a teaspoon of salt or sea salt. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. 1 clove of garlic. And to put all this together, it's simple. Chop the tomatoes and place in a serving bowl. Then you're going to cut up the avocados into small cubes as well and place in the same serving bowl. You sprinkle that with your salt and your lemon juice, and then you add your crushed garlic and place in the bowl. And you gently toss it with your hands, not a spoon or fork, because it might poke the avocado and make it into smaller pieces. So you gently combine with your hands in a nice tossing motion, and that's it. You could enjoy. This is a simple salsa. Most salsas have other ingredients like onions and corn to put with chips, but this is a simple one that you could have as a salad. this is your chunky avocado tomato salsa. Yeah. Now you can, after the presentation, you could just let me know how much of you would like to have your recipes. We're trying not to print too much at a time because we realize that we're then not wasting, but we're finding them all over the church. So once you consult us and we know 5 people want, we would print 5 and give to the 5 so that we would avoid wastage. And last we have a nearly French toast. I think I made this for one of the cooking classes. So for this nearly French toast, and this is a vegan one because most French toasts are made with egg. This one doesn't have any egg whatsoever. So for this nearly French toast, you're going to need a 1/4 cup of cashew nuts, 1 cup of water, half a teaspoon of vanilla essence, 1/4 cup of cashew nuts, 1 cup of water, half a teaspoon of vanilla essence, 1 tablespoon of liquid honey, 1/4 teaspoon of salt or sea salt, 1/8 teaspoon of turmeric. Then you have 8 slices of thick whole grain bread. They use thick whole grain bread because normal bread that Kiss sells is too soft to make this nearly French toast. Then you have some oil for frying if needed because we're using a non-stick pan. And then you can garnish like pancakes with either fresh berries or honey like a maple syrup or something, right? We're going to put all this together. So you're going to add all your ingredients except the bread and the oil and the fresh berries to a blender, and you're going to blend until it's smooth. Now I know cashews is if you don't have I don't want to say the right blender, but if you have a different blender, you could blend it. It will take a while to blend, but those who have powerful blenders, it's going to work really, really fast. But if not, you could soak your cashews again for 30 minutes before putting it in the blender with the ingredients. Make sure you blend the mixture really well so you have a consistent paste rather than water-like with little cashew nut pieces. So you keep blending until you get a smooth paste. And if you soak your cashews, it will help with getting that smooth consistency. We want to heat a non-stick frying pan after. Depending on the quality of your pan, you may be able to get away with using no oil at all. So if you do have a non-stick frying pan, you don't have to use oil. But if you don't have a non-stick, you could use a little oil in the pot so that the French toast doesn't stick to the pan. Right, so you cut your bread in half diagonally, so you want to get little triangles. So you pour the cashew mixture into a bowl and dip each slice or each piece of bread in it for a couple seconds. On each side to completely coat the bread, not soak it, right? After you have coated the bread in the mixture, you place the bread in a medium frying pan and cook for about 2 minutes per side. So you don't want to overcook it. You want to have a nice brown texture, and then you can garnish that with whatever you want. You could eat it just so because the mixture itself tastes very good. The turmeric, on the other hand, is what gives it the color, because normal French toast, when they use the egg, it has this yellow color. So the turmeric, the 1/8 teaspoon of turmeric, gives the mixture a light yellow color. Right? You can drizzle honey or maple syrup, or you could put your fresh berries and have it at the side or on top. So this is what your nearly French toast should look like. Yes. Alright. Most of these recipes that I have or got was taken from a book called Cook 30 by Jeremy Dixon. He was featured on 3ABN. He actually has his own restaurant. I don't want to say restaurant, but it's like a restaurant. People come in and they eat, and everything is strictly vegan. and also by Tasty. Those of us on social media should know by now that Tasty is out there. They started off as just Tasty, now they have Tasty Vegan, Tasty Japan, Taste Life, and they go on and on, and the recipes are really interesting. I can't resist. They have an app as well, and I have it on my phone. So, and this brings me to the end of my presentation. So let us remember that healthy doesn't always mean bland and tasteless. Healthy is also tasty, right? I hope this message reached someone today who has decided to change their diet.
For that presentation, and I'm prepared for a full presentation from Brother Pieces. So Carol, I invite you to sing a song, and more people came out there. Welcome to those of you who just came in. All right, happy to have more of you. Yes, because I do miss you, but I'm glad to see you again. Oh my God. Oh, so you ever seen Hannibal in the house? Oh, yes. Okay, well, welcome. I mean, I don't know you now, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure you know me. All right, welcome. Happy to have us. Welcome. So we're going to have a social song with Carol, and then we will wait to hear from Brother Kizzy as we go on this morning. Everybody's all right? Anybody too cold? I'm not cold enough. All you have to do is sit strategically in the direction of the air conditioner, or you can avoid it accordingly. All right, so everybody can be comfortable. All right. Good morning and pleasant Sabbath, everyone. Hope you all are having a glorious time thus far. In humble adoration, I kneel before your throne. In brokenness, I seek your face alone. But there's no other who's able to restore my soul. Come and make me whole. Breathe on me. Power of God, come in and change me. You are all I need. Holy Spirit, breathe on me. I'm ready to surrender, to give you all my life, no matter what the cost or sacrifice. Reveal to me your holiness, cleanse me from my prideful ways. Use me now, I pray. Breathe on me. Power of God, come in and change me. You are all I need. Holy Spirit, breathe on me. I will say of the Lord, He is my strong tower, my rock and my fortress, in whom I trust. He is my Restore my soul. Breathe on me. Power of God, come in and change me. You are all I need. Holy Spirit, breathe on me.